If a small person or medium enterprising company makes up to 50 million per year, and you are charging him the same percentage with companies that are earning billions and declaring billions of profit. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Ndume, representing Borno South. Mr. President, as you said and as we discussed, reforms is necessary if we have to move forward. Even in our lives, you look at where you are, where you want to be, and how you want to be, so that you get there. I am not against reforms. And I'm not against these reforms, tax reform. My problem is, number one, the timing. The timing as it is today, when you talk about reforms to Nigerians, whether it's good or bad, they misconceive it. And as we said, I just want to add to what distinguished Senator Sekibo, Dareke Dipo said, Senator Dixon said. He talked eloquently and explained so many things. There are 4 things or 3 there. What? As you said, the time for that would be at the public hearing or when we pass it second reading. But let it be on record that my problem with the bills, I've said 1, that is the timing. Number 2, the issue of derivation made the reform contagious, contaminated, and contradictory in some cases, because the Constitution has to be amended in order for some of these proposals to be effective. I'm glad we are doing constitutional review. So even if it means reviewing the Constitution, this is general principle. As you said, or as the senators decided, we should not throw away the baby with the bathwater. I would have preferred we remove the baby and throw away the water first. And that is to go with what the governors and NEC proposed, that this bill should be withdrawn so that, and they are not saying that the bill should be killed. No. You withdraw the bill, work on it, and then submit it to the National Assembly again after getting the buy-in of the governors and NEC and even our traditional rulers. Mr. President, let's be honest to ourselves. If we sit down here, work on these bills, assuming as it is now, because the governors have not come out publicly to change their position. The traditional rulers have not sat down publicly to change their position. NEC have not sat down to change their position. And for me, as I said, I looked at the bill. The bill contains so many good things, but these 2 things, derivation and VAT, even though you say it will be addressed at the public session, it's not something that many of us will agree to it. You started by saying, we are going to negotiate, which is good, and it's coming from you. But why don't we negotiate first before we come out to take a position? The tax, something that looks attractive, may not necessarily be that. Because if you transfer or you move people from lower income from VAT, and then you increase their taxes, the corporate taxes, the person that is manufacturing that goods will now transfer the VAT cost to it. So it means you gave him with the right hand and it was taken, or it's taken on the left hand. Secondly, the corporate tax you are talking about, when you remove the lower income, which is good, but then in the bill, it's a 50 million 2 billion. 25%. They reduce it from 30% to 25%. If a small person or medium enterprising company makes up to 50 million per year, and you are charging him the same percentage with companies that are earning billions and declaring billions of profit. I give you an example back. So the person that is in Ndume managing to manufacture shoes and his turnover turns up to be 50 million, you are charging him the same with somebody that is sitting down with pen and paper. Read it, and you see.
Senator Ndume, you have 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to conclude.
I don't know whether that is fair, Mr. President.
On the general principles of the bills, you have
Okay,
30 seconds.
So, in conclusion, Mr. President, the third problem I mentioned, if the people, through the governors, and then the NEC and the traditional rulers say that the bill should be withdrawn, make some necessary amendments, and then bring it back, and we can pass it in 24 hours. That is my position, Mr. President.
Noted. Bill for an act to establish the Joint Revenue Board, the Tax Appeal Tribunal, and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the harmonization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from the revenue administration in Nigeria and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Joint Revenue Board, the Tax Appeal Tribunal, and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the harmonization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken and now referred to the Committee on Finance for further consideration. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act number 1320, 2007, and enact the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Act to establish the Nigerian Revenue Service charged with powers of assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruable to the government of the Federation and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruing to the Federation accounts, states and local governments, prescribe the powers and functions of tax authorities and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate the legal frameworks relating to taxation and enact the Nigeria Tax Act to provide for taxation of income, transactions, and instruments and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, the four bills read so far are now referred to the Senate Committee on Finance, Senate Committees on Finance for further legislative actions, including public hearings, collation of all views, opinions. Tinker with, delete, add, subtract, and revert to this August assembly on or before 6 weeks. Leader of the Senate. Let me thank my colleagues for this, for the considerations of these executive bills. And also thank all those who contributed, particularly the fact that even though we have not gone into specifics, some of my colleagues were able to bring out certain good aspects of the bills and also certain contentious issues in the bills. And to let the public know that the process of lawmaking is not about presenting a bill and then withdrawing it to go and consult with the public before coming back to the Senate. The process of lawmaking is referring the bill to the public for public hearing and then consultation before bringing back to the Senate for passage into law. As a matter of fact, this is just the beginning of the journey of these bills. The public is now invited. Even those who came yesterday to give us lectures are going to be part of those in the public hearing. Then all the ministers involved will be part of those at the public hearing. The governors will be part of those. The governors do not make laws. Therefore, the governors forum cannot make laws in the neck. They will come to the National Assembly and be part of the public hearing. And at the end, their views will be consolidated, taking into account before the bills are now brought back in a report by the Senate Committee on Finance for our further consideration, clause by clause. And thereafter, we pass. We go ahead to read the bill. We pass it for third reading before we transmit to Mr. President for assent. So the process is just beginning. And I thank all of you for your concerns. I thank all of you for your contributions. And I hope this will bring all the confusion to an end.